Hey peeps, Pinkalore16 here recording part 31 of my Sonic Adventure DX walkthrough. Last time we started looking at Chao and their basic needs, and in this part we're going to go further into explaining their mechanics. So, without further ado, I am going to start explaining a few things. Now these Chao haven't actually been touched since the last part, so you are probably not going to see a difference. Now, are there any in the water? Because I don't like them in the water. I will explain more about that later, and I'm going to go into the black market, but I'm not going to explain about the black market first off. First off, when you're raising Chao, the one thing you're going to need to take into consideration is you're going to have to buy things for them. And what do you buy stuff with? Money. What's the currency in this game? Rings. Up in the top right corner of the screen are the rings I've collected so far, and, well, yeah, according to the game's currency of things. When you clear a stage, the rings you've collected at that current point turn into money for the Chao Garden. That is what the, you know how there's a little ring symbol and there's a number and it gets added depending on how many rings you have? That is the currency for the Chao Garden. It doesn't count rings you've lost, and that way rings are precious in this game. So if you lose them in a stage, you're probably going to rage a lot because you've just lost tons and tons of money. There are methods shown on YouTube to get tons of rings, but I prefer picking a stage and sticking with that stage to get rings in. Myself personally, I prefer Emerald Coast, but you can pick what you want for a stage to help you look for rings. Now, Chao stats. I've already explained that when you pick up a Chao, 5 stats are shown: swim, fly, run, power, and stamina. Each Chao has an affinity towards one, and I already explained that as well. However, Chao stats are a little more complex than that. And I will explain more about that. Now, stamina is unimportant because it can only be raised by eating fruit. It can only be raised by eating fruit. Now, when you pick up a Chao, you'll see that there are 10 little blocks, or squares, as most people like to call them. Squares of Chao achievement in a level. Those blocks actually represent a percentage. And since there's only 10, they are basically round-offs. So, say for example, a Chao had a percentage of blocks, like with a percentage of between something of 15% and 24%. That would be basically 2 blocks, considering those 2 numbers, along with anything in between aside from 20, would round off to 20, which is 2 blocks of Chao, like, block space thingies. I'm going to call them blocks from now on. You should know what I'm talking about, the little squares in each of the Chao elements. When a Chao eats an animal, like when it gets an animal from the stage, sometimes it gains skill in these blocks in 2 areas, one more than another, and will lose skill in another area. Chao levels, like these levels that you see when you pick up the Chao, like how swim's level 1 and every single one is level 1 in the Chao right now, they cannot decrease unless the Chao has reincarnated. I have tested this out with many Chao and none of their levels have decreased, except from reincarnation. That is it. Now, the 4-digit number when you pick up a Chao. That 4-digit number. I'm gonna go by run. 0021. The 4-digit number explains exactly how far has got in a specific stat, and when the Chao levels up, it will increase only when it's leveled up. That stat has leveled up, will it increase. Specific stats at specific numbers do certain things to the Chao. 100 points in swimming will help your Chao swim very slowly in the Chao garden. I advise you do this to every Chao via Chao fruits or swim animals, as then you won't have to keep rescuing them from the water every single time they crawl in. Flying is kind of random. Flying can only be initiated from a flying point. The only flying point I know exactly well are these stairs. If your Chao has a high flying stat, when it bounces off these stairs, it will fly. Usually all my Chao start flying at 150 flying points, but it can be really random. Now the running stat. The running stat is very random also. The running stat can be really random. Some Chaos can start walking at 20 run points, some at 50, some at 100. Again, it depends on the Chao. All of my Chao started walking at 50 run points, but again, it can be extremely random for the Chao. I do not know what power does in the Chao garden. I suggest that it allows the Chao to climb walls, but I have not seen that in my own Chao garden, and I have Chao with high power stats, so I don't even know. Now, when you pick up a Chao, you'll see there's like this tiny scringe of like a yellow bar. That yellow bar shows exactly how far a Chao has gotten a certain stat. And again, it will only increase when the Chao is leveled up, I think. It will turn orange when the Chao's 4-digit number has reached above 1,000, and it will turn red when the Chao reaches above 2,000 points. The maximum 4-digit number for every Chao is 3,266. Animals. Remember in the walkthrough when we would find random little animals and they would walk into me or I would walk into them? Well, when you defeat an enemy, an animal pops out of it, depending on the stage. But an animal usually is an animal inside a green ball that pops out of enemies when you beat them. Those animals can actually be used to help the Chao increase points in a certain area of skill depending on the animal and its main type. Its type can be determined by the square's colour it is shown with when you get it. If it's yellow, it's a swim type. If it's purple, it's a fly type. If it's green, it's a run type. And if it's red, it's a power type. You'll also find these random blue animals in every single stage. You probably won't even need to use them, as they increase random stats, don't decrease anything at all, and increase things very slowly. In fact, they're more of a defect than they are a help. Specific areas have specific types of Chao animals, and I actually recommend picking specific areas for specific types of animals for Chao. So I will meet you at those areas and explain what areas are the best for Chao. Emerald Coast, Ice Cap, and Hot Shelter are good places for swim animals. Myself personally, I pick Emerald Coast because, well, yeah. In Emerald Coast, you're also going to find bunnies, which are run animals. See, it's a green square, so it's a run animal. You're also going to find bunnies. In Ice Cap, you're also going to find gorillas, which are power animals. And in Hot Shelter, you're also going to probably find deer, which are also run animals. Swim animals are brown otters, pinkish reddish seals, and penguins. Windy Valley, Casinopolis, and Skydeck are good places to find fly animals. In Windy Valley you can also find seals, which are swim animals. In Casinopolis you can also find bunnies, which I already explained are run animals. And in Skydeck you can also find lions, which are power animals. That's what the entrance to Skydeck is for Chao animal raising. Fly animals are swallows, which are the best animal for its element, parrots, and peacocks. And if you want to know where Casinopolis' enemies are, they're in the start of the gutter. That's it. The start of the gutter area has all the enemies. Or you could go in here with Knuckles and start tearing all the enemies apart. I'm also going to tell you one thing. The animals in an area stay the same regardless of who you're playing as, so don't think playing as Knuckles in Speed Highway is going to be having any different kinds of animals from when you're playing as Sonic. Twinkle Park, Speed Highway, and Final Egg are good places to find run animals. In Twinkle Park, you will also find elephants, which are power animals. In Speed Highway, you will find swallows as well. And in Final Egg, you'll also find gorillas, which are also power animals. Run animals are green kangaroos, pink bunnies, and deer. Those are run animals. The power element has the least stages in the game for getting its element, probably because it only helps Chao climb walls and Chao races alone. And those stages are Red Mountain and Lost World. In Red Mountain you can also find parrots, which are fly animals, and in Lost World you can also find penguins, which are swim animals. Probably due to Lost World being actually sprung with water. God, we all hate that water section. Now, how do you find animals? Well, I've been explaining in these little bits that you can find them by beating enemies. So when you beat an enemy, you get an animal. So that's basically how you find animals. Easy, simple. Basically just go for enemy hunts when you're going animal farming. When you've collected enough animals, go into the Chao garden, anyone. I hate loading screens, they break my time up. And when you go into a Chao garden, the animals that you have collected will just pop out of you. First of all, Chao in the water, I'm gonna save it. Don't worry, I'm gonna save you. Okay, seriously, what? You can only carry 10 animals at a time, which actually limits the amount of animals you can actually bring into the garden at one time. So, yeah, once they're all used up, you're gonna have to collect more. They cling onto you, which means if you die or press quit stage, the animals will stay with you. And that actually helps in some circumstances, but in some, like in the instance of the blue animal here, the koala, really bad. How to give animals to your Chao? Fairly easy. Just pick up the type of animal you want and just give it to the Chao. Now you'll see that the Chao takes a few body parts from the animals. They aren't soul eaters, as you can see. The deer is still moving even after I've fed it to the Chao. They aren't soul eaters, they're just... The Chao just copies abilities. Different animals affect different parts of a Chao's body depending on the type of animal it is. And you can test that out for yourself. Different animal parts can even replace other animal parts if enough are fed. Now, its body and main head will not be affected. Why? Because those are for different purposes. And they cannot be affected for that reason. If enough of a specific animal is fed to a certain Chao, then it will learn an animal behaviour, of which it will perform when the Chao is bored. I will put a link in the description saying what all those animal behaviours are. And also, you cannot feed Chao animals to Chao if they're asleep. Yeah, that's basically how animals work. With that link I will put in the description, the link will also state how much the Chao animals increase the boxes, not the leveling up bunch of things. That's determined by the affinity. Now, I'm just going to feed all these animals to my Chao before I explain the next. Okay, so I'm going to cut to when my Chao are going to be good, so I'll be right back. Anyway, this is the black market, and this is the time when I'm actually going to explain what it does. Now, you can bring items to sell here. Now, you can sell anything in the Chao garden, in any Chao garden that isn't a Chao or an animal. Everything else you can sell. Now, buying items here. Now, there are various items you can buy here. Now, you can also buy other eggs and raise new Chao. These Chao here, these three, are monotone Chao. And you can tell by the fact that the egg is a solid colour. So, it is a monotone Chao. These are shiny monotone Chao. Well, that is a shiny monotone Chao. The more expensive the egg is, the more rarer it is. I think these are the cheapest. But yeah, the more expensive it is, the more rarer it is. It has no impact on stats if a Chao has, like, a Chao egg has more money than it does with another Chao egg. It has no impact on stats. A grey Chao is not necessarily stronger than the normal ones. It has no impact on stats. It's just unique and rare. Now you can also buy fruit here. This is dark fruit. There's also hero fruit that's yellow and is round. But this is generally alignment fruit. The fruit you can buy here have different effects on Chao at different points in their life. The hero and dark fruit is alignment fruit. Now, if you ignored these fruits, didn't do anything at all, every single Chao in the garden will be neutral, because each character thinks they're the hero in their particular story. Unlike what happened in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, where each character was given a special alignment, and the alignment of the Chao will be determined by how much time spent with each type of character. These fruits do exist in that game and serve the same purpose, but are weaker than the characters. But, if you want hero or dark Chao, or hero and dark Chao in this game, aside from transferring them over from said game, then you're going to need to use these fruits. If you really want the Chao to become another alignment, then you're literally going to have to feed the Chao solely of the alignment fruit you want your Chao to be after first evolution, which is going to mean a lot of ring hunting. It doesn't really do anything in this game. It doesn't unlock extra gardens or anything. It just makes your Chao look pretty. They're just there for looks and not making the Sonic Adventure 2 Battle ones glitch if they're transferred. And they do nothing, waste your time, unless you want to have pretty looking Chao in your garden. Now, in between these ones, there would be heart fruit, which would be shaped like a heart and would be pink. Causes Chao to breed after first evolution. I will go more on that in the next Chao part. There would also be Chao fruit, I've already explained that. But it also helps if you want normal type Chao after first evolution, as animals affect how Chao grow up into what type they'll be, and I'll go more on that next part. These are shaped fruit, and they're mainly nothing more than treats for the Chao. Round fruit, triangular fruit, and cubical fruit are generally doing the same effects that normal fruit does. They're generally more cheaper than the other items in the Chao black market. It's really good if the fruit on the trees are taking too long to grow, you've used them all up, and your Chao are super hungry. This is a good replacement, I guess. You can find out what your Chao's favourite fruit is if you transfer it to Sonic Adventure 2 Battle out of the shaped fruit. But it really doesn't matter if you don't find out its favourite, as it's obvious the Chao will toss it away if it isn't its favourite. Now you can also buy hats here. A bucket, empty can, a cardboard box, a pen, a watermelon. I'll explain more about the mushroom later. There's also stumps and a paper bag too, and other things. But these are basically hats. Now, you can only put hats on your Chao if it's had a koala, which are blue animals found in Emerald Coast, Casinopolis, Twinkle Park, and Speed Highway. When a chow hat is on, the only way to take it off is by abusing the chow. Hitting it or throwing it should get it off, preferably throwing since it won't upset it as much as hitting it would. You can only have 8 hats in your chow garden, so be careful if it won't come off, as you may already have too many hats. Unless you want to wait a very long time for the hat to pop off, it won't come off. The eggshells your chow hatches from can also be used as hats. Now mushrooms. This is a really good way to raise the stamina. It's really good to raise the stamina for the chow races. But it's probably the most expensive food item you'll ever get. 300 rings. Rarer stuff comes in once you get more emblems. So if you want rarer stuff, try to get as many emblems as you can. This file here has 56, so it's probably not getting as many rare items, but it should get more in the future. Also, when you come out of the black market, if you still have animals wandering around, they will disappear. Here's my method of doing things. Sell the eggshells when the chow have hatched. That way, every chow you hatch earns you rings. So I'm going to do that now to demonstrate. Remember, you can only sell one item at a time, because you can only carry one item in your hands. Mostly the rarer kinds of eggshells nab you more rings. Like, see, look at that giant thing. It nabs you 500 rings. Yeah, sell the eggshells. That is a really good idea. I recommend so. Any chow in the water? Nope, they're all on land. Good. You can also sell fruit from the palms. Like I said, anything that isn't a chow or an animal, you can sell. And you can carry items through the teleports, even chow. So, that is it for part 31 of my Sonic Adventure DX walkthrough. In the next chow part, we will be going over stuff like evolution, happiness, what animals do to influence evolution, and the things that happen after a chow has gone past first evolution, like breeding, changing colour, and the general stuff with coats, like jewel, monotone, shiny, etc, etc. But until then, because it will take a very long time for these chow to develop, I will have a special part in between. So, until then, see ya, have a good day, peace, and God, you all are so sleepy.